righty. Let's see. Shelter can protect you from the sun, insects, wind, rain, snow, hot or cold temperatures, and the enemy's observation. Okay. In some areas, your need for shelter may take precedence over even your need for food and possibly even your need for water. So you want to keep that in mind depending on the situation that you're in when you do go to make you a shelter. Seeking natural shelters or altering them to meet your needs, and it also will help you save energy. A shelter must be large enough to protect you and small enough to contain your body heat. See, that's the whole idea. You want to contain your body heat, especially in colder climates. Primarily, your shelter or your coverage in a survival situation will be what you wear. At this point, regardless of whether you are in a hot, cold, tropical, desert, or Arctic situation, your clothes are the most important thing to protect you and should be in good condition, okay? But your shelter site or your coverage site in a survival situation is a high priority. So you start looking for a shelter as soon as possible, or building your shelter as soon as possible. Remember what you'll need at the site. True requisites for a shelter that is a must are these. You must contain the material to make the type of shelter that you need, and it must be large enough and level enough for you to lie down comfortably. Okay? You want to think about those things. You should also focus on a tactical situation where your safety in considering these prerequisites for coverage. You want to, it provides concealment. You also want to have escape routes, and is suitable for signaling if necessary. Okay, you want to keep several things in mind while you are building these shelters. It protects you against wild animals and rocks and dead trees that might fall. Now that is a biggie. You don't want to put a shelter underneath a widowmaker. A widowmaker is a rotten tree that could fall over and kill you in your sleep if the wind is blowing. Okay? You want to make sure your shelter is in an area that's free from insects, reptiles, and poisonous plants. You want to think about, water coverage and flash flooding in areas such as foothills, avalanches, or rock slides. Sites near bodies of water that are below the high water mark. You need to think about all these things when you're building a shelter. Okay? There's all different types of shelters that you can build. And also, too, do you have the tools to build these things? And the type and amount of materials to build them. These are questions that you have to ask yourself when you're out in the bush and making a shelter. Okay, there are several different types of shelters, like I said. And one thing, that I found in using this book is, the part where I had my tent in an area and it started pouring down rain. Well, subsequently, because of the way the land went, the rainwater started coming into my shelter and up underneath my shelter, and it was just an absolute mess. And so, once it stopped raining, I had to move everything to a little bit more level, higher ground, and I even dug some trenches around my tent area so it would funnel the water off and away from my tent. This is also when I learned about widowmakers, that when the wind is blowing pretty hard, you never can tell when a branch or whatever it is may fall, and several branches had fallen and had barely missed my tent, which would have been disastrous for me because I was out there by myself. But you know, when you're making these shelters, these are things that you want to keep in mind. I hope this video helped you. Please like, subscribe, and comment.